Hello and welcome to this next edition of the Temple of Grief. And boy, there's every week there's new stuff going on, right? And one of the historians and journalists that I follow, she published a brief message on Sunday evening reminding us that if we get too caught up in how shocking everything is and how terrible everything is and how yet another awful thing is happening, that's actually what they want us to do. They want us feeling despair. They want us feeling fear. And we are going to avoid that, right? We're going to focus on what we can do, and we're going to focus on what we can do for our communities and for the well-being of our collective. So what I decided to do today is, since this week is also a new moon, and this new moon in Aquarius is actually all about tapping into our revolutionary spirit, which is already happening, like it or not, want it or not, there are things happening. And it's also the Chinese New Year, which means we are saying goodbye to the Year of the Dragon, which was a beautiful year for me and also a very challenging year. And now we are welcoming in the Year of the Snake. And the Year of the Snake is, this image of the serpent in our shamanic medicine. The serpent is our symbol that teaches us to shed the past the way a serpent sheds her skin. And so when we are in this position of facing really essentially the collapse of many of our institutions that have held us firm and held us together and held us strong, we need to already be building new ones in their place. I've said that before, I will keep saying it, because we cannot get caught on the, oh my God, I'm reacting to this awful situation that's happening. We need to already be planting the seeds of what will replace what's coming. So what I have done is I have done a tarot reading, and this is with the Deviant Moon Tarot deck by Patrick Valenza. I love this deck. It's a bit irreverent, which I feel is a pretty good indicator of where we are right now. And so I have this spread that I do where there's 10 cards. I'm going to just share these with you, and we can look at that as guidance for how to move through this new year, this new moon cycle, and the things that are coming our way. So the first position right here is the King of Pentacles in reverse. And that position is about the inquirer at the present day. So that's us. That's us asking the question is, what is my state of being right now? What are the things affecting me personally right now? So when the King of Pentacles comes up reversed, it's all about cheating, swindling, corrupt money dealings. And here we are. If we consider ourselves as the so-called United States of America, or the country formerly known as the United States of America, we are being led by a cheat and a swindler and a con artist. So that is our current state of being right now. And the advice that came through for me is that we need to soften our rigid behavior patterns. And so what that means is really ask yourself, really tap into what is your sense of duty? To whom or to what do you have the deepest sense of duty? And it's about being less bureaucratic and being open to new ideas. And so, in a sense, this particular administration is sort of doing that. He's kind of ripping everything apart and smashing the dishes in the kitchen and getting rid of as much bureaucracy as he can. Whether or not that's legal or not is not something I'm going to talk to you about. But what I do want to encourage every single one of us to do is, as we see these institutions collapsing, we need to be open to new ideas. And they might come in all sorts of places, and they might come from surprising sources, but just get rid of your rigid behavior patterns, honor that sense of duty that's deep inside you, and be open to the new ideas that are coming down the road. So the second card that came through is the Seven of Swords reversed. So this is all about imposter syndrome, and I know that many of you feel the same way as I have often felt, that am I really called to do this? Am I really capable of doing this? Am I even supposed to be here? Am I even qualified to be doing this? This is in the position of what is in the past. Position number 2 is what is influencing us from the past. And so I think that many of us do have that resilience, and we do have that authority to establish ourselves as leaders in our communities, but maybe we just haven't felt like it's been there for us. So now again, we're looking at the influences from the past. So the advice that came through is that go ahead and make reasonable plans, but just know that things are going to change so quickly, you're going to want to be adaptable. So let your plans be loose, let your plans be flexible, let your plans be fluid, and be adaptable. I got kind of a hint that we've been relaxed and we've been trusting, and we need to just to be aware that there are certain conditions where it is fine to relax and be trusting, and there are other conditions where keep your guard up. Don't fall into the paranoia, though. The paranoia is not going to help, but just keep your plans flexible and be adaptable. In the third position is the Nine of Wands. And the third position is subconscious influences. So this is kind of what's lurking underneath in our psyche. And in this position, the Nine of Wands wants us to still have hope. The Nine of Wands wants us to pause and reflect and ponder during these challenging events. And there's going to be a high degree of mental activity. The 9 is a self-replicating number, and the Wands are about activity. They're very active choices. But in this case, the advice I got is that this is going to be a lot of mental activity. We're going to be processing situations that are probably going to feel very mind-boggling. This is the time to express your personal convictions. Again, go back to what is your truest, deepest duty, what your truest, deepest convictions and truths are, and now's the time to stand up for them. Speak them. For now, we still have freedom of speech, and he claims to be pro-freedom of speech, but he also appears to be using lawsuits as a way of denying others their freedom of speech. And so don't be afraid, just stick to what is your deepest convictions, your deepest truths. And that is going to be what guides you through this. So in the fourth position, is, this one was really weird for me. This one is the secret desires and wishes. And what came through is the Ace of Wands reversed, but the Ace of Wands reversed talks about boredom, lack of energy, no passion, being indifference, being passive. And that was where I sort of sensed where it was true for me, that passivity. I think that, and this is secret desires and wishes, and I think that many of us just wish that this would have all gone away. We just wish that we could just sit by and let it resolve itself without us having to do anything. And I think that that's not really the time for that right now. Now, the advice that came through is that we don't want to start any new projects right now. This isn't necessarily the time for any all-out effort, but we're going to have to phase into the new way, whatever is the new way. We're going to need to phase into it gradually. We're going to be going through an upheaval, but we've got to really tap into that gradual, try to make these changes as gradual as possible, sticking to your deepest convictions. In the position of number 5 is hidden forces. And in the position that represents hidden forces, we have the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is all about supreme knowledge, intuition. She's virtuous. She's scholarly. She is a woman wise beyond her years. So in this position of hidden forces, with the High Priestess coming through, the advice here is to always be in service to higher powers. Do whatever is your personal practice of devotion or meditation or prayer or whatever works for you. Make sure you are doing that through these times. And as women in our communities, we need to be mutable shapeshifters so that we can see the reality from many different angles. And we're going to need to use our skills in that in the coming days. In a position of number 6, which is events yet to come. So events yet to come, we have the 5 of Swords. Well, and once again, we've got a cheat, we've got a dishonorable victory, we've got a cruel person who enjoys the suffering of others, a braggart, conflict, discord. Well, I think we've seen this. We've seen this. It's coming. It's on its way. It's here. Events yet to come, we're already there. So the advice that came through with this card is this is the time to assert yourself to bring about change. Even if we feel we are defeated, we cannot cave to the fear. And once again, this is the time to really tap into what is your deepest truth, really tap into what are your strongest convictions, hold to those, and establish those as your guiding principles. In the position 7, which is, this is the Knight of Wands, this is the surrounding environment. So the good news is, this is all about energy and enthusiasm. But we do have to, it's all about action, adventure, fearlessness, but the caution here is be careful of making hasty decisions. Be careful of impulsive behavior. There may be a sudden journey. But the thing is, the Knight of Wands loves a challenge. And when the Knight of Wands has a good challenge, creativity comes through. So this whole situation that we're facing, this is a time for us to really tap into our creativity, to embrace the challenge that we're facing. The Knight of Wands is there to support that. So in the position of number 8, we have the Empress, and this is the influence of other people in our lives, the influence of others. And the Empress, so once again, she's a strong female figure, and I think, again, we are being called on the women in our communities, the feminine in our communities, those who have been the nurturers, the work that women have done that is historically undervalued. That is going to be important. It's all about nurturance, beauty, being in touch with nature. And the advice here, because she also represents sovereignty, and so the advice here is to look at the people who are already declaring and defending their sovereignty. These are decolonial practices. We are still existing in a colonial project, and it is time for us to dismantle those colonial systems by looking to the people who have already been doing that work for generations. So let us not diminish women's work. Let us not diminish the work of Indigenous people and people of color who have been fighting these oppressive systems of colonial structures for a long time. They can be the ones that can lead us through these dark times that we're facing. In the position of number 9, which is the spiritual forces that are at play, I thought it was curious that it was the 10 of Pentacles that came through to talk about our spiritual forces, because the Pentacles tend to be about our material world, our material possessions. But in this particular instance, this is about family legacy. So it might be family wealth, but it also might be the intangible legacy of your family. It also might be your birthright. We all have the birthright to sovereignty, and we all have the birthright to an abundant, joyful life. That is our birthright. And so our spiritual forces are asking us to be in tune with the highest powers so that we can live our abundant, joyful lives and we can establish a legacy that is meaningful and lasting for our communities. So it's about building family stability. And when I say family, you can include in that chosen family, because I know many of us, especially those who are queer and transgender, who have been not only shunned by our blood families, but to have the leader of this so-called United States of America declare that there are only two genders. So anybody who is non-binary has effectively been declared out of existence. We know that's bogus. So it's time to strengthen our family resources, build family stability in those micro communities. Who are the people in your world that are most important to you, that you care about most, whose well-being you most care about? Build the things there. Place the needs of the collective over the needs of you as an individual. Okay? That is what's going on with the spiritual forces. So the more you can share and be generous with your family and your community, the more the universe is going to respond in kind, supporting that in those efforts. Okay. Oh boy, the last card. Here it comes. The Tower. The Tower, and I've gotten so used to seeing the Tower in the last 5 years since I've been really actively doing this work. Yeah, the Tower is chaos. The Tower is destruction. The Tower is also sudden change. And that can be, and it often is, for the best. So again, this is in the position of number 10, the final outcome. Chaos, destruction, severe and abrupt change, loss, accident, traumatic event, ruin, upheaval. But the advice here is that this whole situation we're experiencing is a powerful force for change. It's going to change our whole way of life. And so what we have to do is lead the change, guide the change. We know it's happening around us. We need to be moving through it with intention and with purpose, so that from the wreckage of whatever happens, we can rebuild something that is truer and more meaningful than what we have inherited today. So that is the message from the tarot that has come through. I hope that it gives you some comfort. I know that seeing the Tower in a tarot reading is never something we desire to see. I don't think many of us really love chaotic change, but we can embrace it. We can consciously move through it, as long as we remember what our values are, what our convictions are, stay true to those, and be open, flexible, and adaptable to what is coming our way. We are still grieving. We are grieving the institutions that are falling apart. We are grieving the loss of freedoms that the queer and transgender community has, I was going to say has enjoyed, has partially enjoyed, but those freedoms were never really secured, and they have been threatened again. So I'm here for you. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of us. Please reach out if you need support. Have a good one.